Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first driver deep dive video of 2022. If you're new here and new to the series, please do go check out the playlist of all the rest of the driver deep dive videos, which you can find on my channel. And while you're there, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a single driver deep dive or any other video in 2022. So if you've seen any of the previous videos in this series, then you will know that I like to have some sort of connection between two drivers if I'm going to put them in a video together for the driver deep dive series, and this video is no different. I figured Guanyu Zhou is the newest kid on the block on the F1 grid, and I was like, hey look, why not partner him up with another newbie-ish who has just finished his rookie season. So I'm going to chat about Guanyu Zhou and Mick Schumacher. I actually don't watch that much F2, so I'm quite interested to see what we find out about Guanyu and also just what he's generally going to bring to the grid as well this year. So who is Guanyu Zhou? Maybe you're like new to Formula One and you're only just starting out on your journey as a fan. You're wondering, who is this rookie? Well, he is the brand new driver for Alfa Romeo and he has come from the F2 series, as I mentioned in the intro, and this is a bit of a touchy subject for some fans because Zhou has been in F2 for 3 years now and he's never won the series. And generally what the trajectory for a driver is they'll come through the formula, and by the time they get to F2 they're sort of expected, if they're going to move into an F1 seat, to either win that championship in their first year or in their second year. So Zhou has been there for 3 years and has not won it, but has then been given a seat in Alfa Romeo. I won't be deep diving into that particular topic on this video, but Tomo F1 has a great in-depth video about it on his channel, so I'm going to link that in the description below. This isn't actually Zhou's first taste of F1 though. He has been a reserve or development driver for Renault/Alpine for the last number of seasons, so he does have an idea of what it's like to be in the car, and he did come third in the 2021 F2 Championship and he came first in the Asia F3 Championship. So he has won things, it's just he hasn't necessarily followed the traditional trajectory that you would have seen some of the other younger drivers that are on the grid now come through. He does have a very important first to his name though, which is that he is the first ever full-time Chinese Formula One driver, and that means a huge amount to him. If you read any interview or watch any interview with him, he is extremely proud of that, and he's really excited to represent for the Chinese fans. As we know, China is a huge market already for Formula One, so I'd imagine there's going to be an even bigger buzz now around the races that happen there, and obviously the fans are going to be more than happy to travel as well, I would assume, in order to support him, given that he is the first Chinese driver to be full-time in Formula One. Now that we know a little bit about Guanyu Zhou's background, let's have a look at him, kind of what he gets up to, what's on his Instagram. And the first thing you're going to notice probably as you start to scroll past the race rated content is his page is a bit bougie, and I'm curious to see how this plays out in his personality, because the interviews that I've watched with him he doesn't give off any like entitled vibes or anything like that, but he certainly has his fair share of luxury brand partnerships, including Hublot, and he's kind of out here in all his designer gear, and obviously we know there are other drivers on the grid who like to do that as well. But with that being said, Guanyu Zhou is very young in comparison to some of them, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. He did say in an interview that I watched that if he wasn't a Formula One driver or a racing driver generally, he feels like he would have been a fashion designer, so at least he has, you know, a genuine passion for it and isn't just kind of buying whatever's hot.
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot.
So beyond that, again, like 99% of the other drivers that we will ever talk about in this series, his social media is primarily full of race-related photos and videos. So he, like I said, has been racing in a number of different formula over the past couple of years, so the majority of his content is based on that. And he also has a fair bit up there actually of his reserve driver work for Renault and Alpine. So there's a couple of like videos of him with other drivers and just general kind of saying like, hey, I'm here, I'm on the scene. So he has got that going on as well. In terms of what he likes to do in his downtime, there isn't a huge amount out there about this. Obviously he mentioned that he's really passionate about fashion, but he did also say that his favorite actors are The Rock and Kevin Hart. So I can only assume he's a big fan of comedy, and he seems quite chill. So I think he doesn't give me the Max Verstappen vibe of like lands back from a race and immediately gets in the sim. I could be wrong on that, we may find out. He seems more so kind of a chill, downtime is downtime kind of guy. So he is obviously brand new. We really don't know a huge amount about him from the F1 standpoint, how he's going to perform or what he's going to add to the grid, but I am curious to see that because it's always interesting to add new personalities to the drivers that are there. So let's see how he fares. So Mick Schumacher is definitely going to be a bit different to the majority of the other drivers that we are going to chat about in this series, because we knew about him before he ever became a racing driver or got to Formula 1, because he is of course the son of the great Michael Schumacher. And this obviously has a lot of effects, kind of side effects for Mick in his career, but also in his personal life, because the Schumacher family are understandably extremely private. So he doesn't really share a huge amount. He'll share, you know, little pieces here and there, but generally he keeps it kind of very job focused and racing focused or workout focused on his socials, which is entirely understandable. However, he did recently post for his dad's 53rd birthday on the 3rd of January, which was really sweet to see. And if you've seen the Schumacher documentary on Netflix, the family does open up quite a bit more than we have seen them do in the past there. So I would also recommend watching that. I can put the link in the description. But for the most part, Mick keeps his page very race focused. He has a lot of workout videos and photos. He is absolutely very much into lifting weights. A lot of drivers, you'll see them kind of steer away from too much weight stuff because they don't want to be bulky in the car, but he's so young and seems quite tall. So I think for him, obviously he has to build up strength also, given that he's only just had his first season in a fully fledged Formula 1 car. So kind of makes sense. He also has a partnership with Under Armour, so I guess a lot of those posts also go towards working with that brand as well, which makes a lot of sense. What does Mick Schumacher do in his downtime? Well, he has said in recent interviews that his ideal day off would just be to turn off his phone and spend the day outside. He is just a chill, outdoorsy, adventure, activity focused kind of guy. You'll see him a lot of the time posting photos of him with his dog, just chilling, playing, and again, similar to how Zhou kind of comes across, just very much like downtime is downtime. And I think the sense is clear in that. Like, to be honest, if I was going to be working in such a high octane environment, I think that's the only way that I could stay sane while doing it, is to really, really respect my chill time. So it seems like Mick really does that and tries to sort of take advantage of it as much as he possibly can, which, as you can imagine, as a full-time driver is not very often. I think the outdoorsy thing also, in the sense of adventure, again, if you watch the Schumacher documentary on Netflix, you can really see, you know, all the trips that Michael brought his kids on when they were younger as part of his travels. They were never just like sitting around. There was always some sort of activity going on, and 99% of the time it was outside. So you can definitely see Mick carrying on that kind of energy as well, which is really nice to see. Okay folks, that's all I've got for you on Zhou and Schumacher. I did have a look into which football teams they support because I know people love to know that. I wasn't able to find it out, so if you know the answer for one, either or both of them, please do drop it in a comment below, because I would be very curious to see what the answer is to that question. In the meantime, please do give this video a like if you found out any interesting facts, and I will see you in my next video.